Hang on, I know you're thinking, Josh, ramen's usually cheap. I'm not talking about instant ramen today. Maybe later. I'm talking about the gourmet ramen that usually costs this per bowl. When in reality, you could make something yourself that costs this per bowl. That is but cheaper. Okay, so I know I said we're not gonna talk about instant ramen. Obviously we will, but that's gonna be at the end. The thing we really wanna focus on is I wanna make a nice, proper bowl of ramen. More specifically, we're making a miso pork ramen for, oh my God, wow, that's so small. Look how small it is. I'm looking at it. It's right there and it's so small. A proper bowl of ramen isn't just satisfying, it's an all-encompassing, beautiful thing. The experience of eating it, shoving it in your face, and it's just so good every single bite. There's a little bit of something different in every bite. So with all that said, let's make this, shall we?
Right-o. Let's begin with our miso ramen broth. First, get a 5-quart heavy bottom pot or something similar. It's not like the broth is gonna explode just because your pot is in 5 quarts. Anyway, heat that over medium-high heat, completely dry, until it's hot, 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 wow! Then add in half a pound or 225 grams of ground pork. Ideally, you want something on the fattier side, like 70-75%. Flatten and spread that out, and let it sear for 2 to 3 minutes, then flip, and it should be a beautifully golden brown. Repeat that sear on the other side, then break it up into small pieces and continue to sear until the pork is fully cooked and has rendered out quite a bit of fat. Once it reaches that point, remove the pork and set it to the side. Now lower your pot heat to medium, then add 2 medium shallots that have been finely diced, 7 cloves of finely minced garlic, and a 3-inch knob of ginger that's been grated. Saute that for about 3 minutes, stirring occasionally until all the veg is softened and is nice and fragrant. Then add 1 tablespoon or 14 grams of granulated sugar. Stir and cook that just until dissolved. About 1 minute. Now add Mr. Piggy back to the pot, followed by 1.5 tablespoons or 14 grams of ground toasted sesame seeds. Yes, literally just sesame seeds that have been toasted till golden. I did them in a pan and ground in a mortar and pestle till it reaches a powder. You can also chop it with a knife if you don't have, a fancy mortar and pestle. I get it. Now stir that in, then add 4 tablespoons or 60 grams of miso paste. This can be yellow or red miso. There are cheap options out there. Now stir all that together, then add 5.5 cups or 1 1/3 liters of chicken stock, which ideally is homemade, right? You know upset papa with store-bought, right? Now, this is totally optional, but you can also add 1 tablespoon or 13 grams of handashi granules. Again, optional, but it'll be extra bussin' if you add it. Now let that come to a very light simmer, then immediately cover it with a lid and keep it warm until ready to use. By the way, don't simmer the broth, okay? Just literally keep it hot. No simmering, no bubbling, just hot, okay? And that is your broth. Now we need to make arguably the most important part, the toppings. Now, let's talk brown butter corn. I know some people are gonna whine,
"Oh, I'm a little baby, you know, I like corn in my ramen."
Okay, then don't add it. More for us cool people. In a medium sauce pot, add 3 tablespoons or 42 grams of unsalted butter, heat that over medium, let that melt, and cook until it begins to lightly brown. You can certainly take it much further than this, but I wanted a very light toasted flavor, so I stopped here. Then immediately add half a cup of fresh corn kernels. I prefer to cut them fresh off the cob, but that's just me. Stir that into your butter and let that heat just until the corn is hot. Do not let these sit and cook in the butter. I'm sick of the mushy corn out there today, okay? Let's please just get some
poppin' juicy corn that's just hot.
I want a little bit of
and
in this, okay? Season that to taste with salt, and that is your corn. Next up, a beautifully quick soft-boiled egg. Obviously, these are not marinated eggs, and you can certainly marinate them, but if you do that, it's going to add time and price to this recipe. So simply bring a sauce pot of water to a gentle boil, then add your eggs and boil without a lid for 7 minutes. Somehow these 7 minutes are always the longest 7 minutes ever. Immediately remove them from the water and place them in an ice bath to chill just until the eggs cool down enough to be warm but not ice cold. About 2 minutes. Then just peel your eggs under running water to help the shells come off, and that is a soft-boiled egg right there. I mean, look at the goosey inside. Now, last but not least is your ramen noodles. Please try to find straight ramen noodles if you can, then just lower them into a pot of boiling water and boil them according to the package directions. Then drain them into a small colander, and as a side note, try not to cook them all the way to mushy. You kind of want a pretty thorough al dente, otherwise the noodles will overcook when you add the broth. Okay, we have our toppings, but before we assemble, I want to show you one important trick with green onions. Of course, we can slice them thin, but it'd be a whole lot cooler if you take a green onion and then cut it along the green part at a very, very steep bias, and simply slice as thinly thinly as you can, and you'll end up with beautiful, fine, long threads of green onion. Then immediately dunk those in ice water and toss them around. The ice water will wash off their abrasive flavors, and it'll make them a little bit curly, and they look so cute. Oh wow, look at the little curly babies. Sometimes in restaurants, people will call these green onion pubes, and I'd like to just make this my call for y'all to stop it, please, okay? It's nasty. Now it's assembly time. Get yourself a bowl and add your cooked nudes. Top that with your hot broth and some of the ground meat, which will sort of naturally fall into the broth anyway. Then add a generous couple of spoonfuls of your hot brown butter corn, along with some of its butter, a nice handful of thinly sliced green onion. See, doesn't it look so elegant that way? Then your runny soft cooked egg, some additional toasted sesame seeds, and optionally a couple of little squares of nori that have been cut out of a whole sheet of nori. And that's it. That is your beautiful bowl of ramen, coming in at this price per bowl. And this is a
Big bowl.
I'll tell you right now, brother, that's a big freaking dub compared to what you would usually spend, not to mention you have total freaking control.
Okay, so I mean, look at this. Look at this goddamn thing, brother. All this right here for this price. Oh, hold on, fellas. I mean, look at the broth. The broth is like nice and creamy from the fat and the miso, and it's just it looks so yummy. Yes, yes. I would pay $20 for this.
Easy.
It tastes just like a classic miso ramen. It's salty, it's rich with umami. You got the fattiness from the pork, some of that butter flavor with the corn, and the butter plays really nicely, the sweetness, the crunch, the egg. It's meaty, it's unctuous, umami. I already said it two times umami. This is a proper ramen for an affordable price. And it's not instant ramen. This is the real deal. But with that said, I do think we should make an iteration of instant ramen, which we're gonna do right now.
Now I have another idea. If you want to go even cheaper, you could literally just take a packet of instant ramen noodles, whichever your favorite is. And by the way, if you ever go to an Asian grocery store, you'll notice that there's a wonderland of dozens of instant ramen varieties. Papa tip for the day. Cook it according to the package directions and literally just top it with all the toppings that we've made here. And hey, maybe hit it with a little bit of chili oil because now your budget might allow it. Dang, this actually does look pretty bussin' already. I'm kind of annoyed how good this looks. So this is obviously gonna save you money and time, but I have a sneaky suspicion you may sacrifice in the flavor department. Or will you? I think we need to have a little ramen standoff and see which one is the better one here. Dang, is this like a butt better and a butt cheaper one? Damn!
I'm a little bit annoyed at how good this looks because the other one took time and this one didn't. Look, at the end of the day, to make the actual soup base of this is not that much more additional time. It's like maybe an extra 20 minutes. I don't know why I'm throwing this out the window without even tasting it already. You know what? It's not as good. Right off the bat. I can't believe I'm saying this. I actually thought this was gonna be just as good, or if not better, because it's, you know, instant ramen's always good. No, it's literally not as good. Guys, we outdid instant ramen today on a butt cheaper. This isn't even a butt better, but now it is. It's like butt cheaper and butt better with the songs combined. It's like, we made history on this show. We defeated instant ramen and butt cheapered it. Although, well, this is probably cheaper, isn't it? It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. The point is this is still cheap for a homemade ramen. Look, at the end of the day, whether you choose your instant ramen counterpart or you wanna make it yourself, I don't care, man. Just elevate it a little bit.
Think a little bit.
And you yourself very easily could have the best bowl of ramen that you've ever made for this price right here.
You wanna know what else has a hot bowl of nudes and Papa's hot miso juice? B-roll.
Alright guys, and that is it. So, we done did it, brother. We made a miso ramen, a pork miso ramen that I think almost falls a little bit in line with a tonkotsu, and by that I mean it's got that creaminess to it, but you didn't have to wait hours and hours and hours because you kind of cut your way through the line of time. Using ground pork, that's the key ingredient here, as well as obviously the miso. Now, miso is expensive, I know, but you use only a little bit. You get a big chunky container of miso, and you can use that miso in perpetuity, so don't be like,
Josh, I have to go buy miso for this. I didn't try so much menu.
unless you use that miso and then you have like 95% of it remaining and you throw it in the trash, no, it did not cost that much to make it. So anyway, with all that said, if you enjoyed this video or you learned something, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you